Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the PJRFSI Cannabis Safety Standard for Manufacturing webinar. Today I'll be discussing PJRFSI's Cannabis Safety Standard for Manufacturing. Thank you for joining us. My name is Lauren Maloney, and I am the Food Safety Program Accreditation Manager for Perry Johnson Registrars Food Safety Inc., or PJRFSI. Throughout the webinar today, if you have any questions, you are welcome to type them into the question box, and I'll be happy to address questions at the end. I will also be providing my contact information if you would like to contact me afterwards with any additional questions or information. So PJRFSI is headquarters in Troy, Michigan. We are part of a family of companies in the registration and certification areas. We also have global offices in Italy, UK, Japan, Mexico, China, and in India. And PJRFSI offers a wide range of food safety certification types, from HACCP to GFSI, organic, and gluten-free, just to name a few. Recently, we have added cannabis safety audits to our program, and this is in the process of becoming accredited by the American National Standards Institute, or ANSI. So why does food safety matter in the cannabis industry? Food safety is the production of safe food that will not make the consumer sick from ingesting it. Today, we will explore the reasons why food safety and cannabis product safety is so important. So why cannabis safety? Well, the cannabis industry is like the Wild West. It seems like new inventive cannabis-infused products are popping up everywhere. There's cannabis-infused drinks, gummies, powders, chocolates, coffee, lotions, tinctures, and even dog treats are just some of the products that are on the market. Some of these products are infused with marijuana, and some are infused with a CBD, a derivative of hemp. Manufacturing companies may have the cannabis experience and expertise, but they may lack the knowledge of food and product safety. So what's the producer's responsibility? Producers have the responsibility to grow and manufacture their food safely. This means implementing the appropriate controls from raw materials to processing, packaging, distributing, and marketing their products. Ensuring that food safety is properly implemented takes a commitment from everyone in the company, from upper management to the production employees. This is no different than in the cannabis product manufacturing companies. The U.S. government is responsible for setting food safety standards. Meat and poultry fall under USDA, while produce and other manufactured foods fall under the FDA. These regulatory bodies also conduct inspections and enforce the laws that are applicable. Furthermore, food producers must follow any state or local regulations and licensing. However, marijuana is not federally legal, and so regulation is left up to the states to define the requirements, as well as the agency that will enforce those requirements. Marijuana legality by state. Marijuana legality by state is ever changing. Each year, more states are legalizing medical marijuana or recreational marijuana. 11 states, Illinois is the newest member to have legalized weed, as well as the District of Columbia, have made recreational or adult use of marijuana legal. This is indicated by the dark green or black states. An additional 22 states have legalized medical marijuana in the medium green. And a few more states have decriminalized it. There's now only a remaining 9 states where it's still illegal. Hemp legality by state. Hemp is defined by THC levels below 0.3%. Currently, 41 states have enacted hemp legislation, which means that hemp can be grown in those states under research or pilot programs. The 2018 Farm Bill removed hemp from Schedule I controlled substances and made it legal. Just last week, the USDA published their interim final rule for public comment. The Farm Bill mandates that states and Indian tribes must submit a plan for approval by the USDA for domestic production of hemp. In states that do not have or submit a plan, then USDA establishes a federal plan. Cannabis food safety regulation. Food safety in the cannabis industry is important because it's only legal in select states and is not regulated federally like other food and drugs. Cannabis cultivation and product manufacture is not enforced by the FDA or USDA, and instead the safety of the products are enforced through state-appointed divisions, which can vary even by county. Even though CBD is derived from a legal plant, hemp, FDA has not approved any CBD products besides one prescription drug to treat epilepsy. This means that CBD products make extensive label claims about what they can do for the consumer without FDA approval. The lack of conformity between states' regulations adds to the confusion in this ever-growing and changing marketplace. State agencies split up the responsibility of managing different aspects of cannabis, like Oregon and California, and other states put in a broad program under one agency, like the Department of Taxation in Nevada. It doesn't seem to make much sense. If the agency doesn't understand or enact requirements to make safe products, how do consumers know what they are ingesting? We are slowly seeing more and more legalization, but that is going to take time, and while we're waiting, marijuana products are being grown, produced, and consumed. Consumer of medical marijuana.
Lisa Arpino, please dial 4719. Lisa Arpino, 4719.
Apologize about that announcement. Consumer of medical marijuana are often immunocompromised, elderly, or young. CBD products have varying label claims for medical benefits, and higher than intended levels of CBD or THC could cause unwanted effects. Cannabis recalls. Marijuana flower and cannabis products are not free from product recalls, much like our food, products, and drugs. Cannabis can be recalled for food safety issues like molds and yeasts, pathogens, pesticides, and heavy metals. Without rigorous controls in place, it is easy to make mistakes and make someone sick in the process. Recalls can be very costly, and disposal of contaminated products is expensive, as well as settling lawsuits for hurting a consumer. Raw material concerns can come in many forms. Improper growing conditions, handling, and storage can result in dangerous risks for consumers. Two of the primary types of mycotoxins that are associated with cannabis flower are aflatoxins and ochratoxins. Medical and recreational marijuana are often may be contaminated with insecticides, fungicides, rhodocides, and other compounds used to eliminate and prevent infestations. Many of these compounds are the same used by fruits, grains, and vegetable farmers. However, some pesticides that are used in the marijuana grow operations aren't even labeled for use on food crops. Currently, the state must develop their own pesticide use controls as well as means for making sure those regulations are being followed. Pesticide use on cannabis is not regulated by the EPA, and it is not recognized as legal by the federal government. Growers receive no guidance from any of the federal agricultural departments as to which pesticides are available for marijuana use. And contamination from water, pests, and humans can easily happen without monitoring and diligence. Certification and implementing additional food safety and cannabis safety requirements can help reduce and mitigate these risks. Additional food safety related concerns. Food pathogen and food allergens can be extremely deadly. Improper allergen labeling is a huge reason for recall of food products. When a cannabis edible also contains an allergen, such as a chocolate nut bar or a soy or dairy product, then proper allergen handling practices must be implemented. Good manufacturing practices are the first defense from food pathogens. Proper hygiene and sanitation are important to reduce the risk of contamination. Cannabis packaging regulation is ever-changing. From recreation to medical marijuana, the rules and regulations are extremely specific and strict. It is important to not only make sure you follow all the packaging requirements, such as child-proof and tamper-proof packaging, but it's also important to consider the food safety aspect of packaging and labeling as well. Consideration should be given to type of packaging used. Is it traditionally used for a food product? Is the marijuana product contacting the packaging, and if so, are there any additional risks for chemical contamination? Finally, the labeling of products is extremely important not only to meet state labeling requirements, but to ensure the information is correct and accurate. What logos or symbols can be used on the labels, and what warning must be printed. It is important to label any potential allergens so consumers can be informed, especially if it's not obvious by looking at the product. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about cannabis safety certification, what types of audits are available, and the steps for certification. Third-party certification is independent of state and federal regulation or inspection. Third party is a private certification scheme that provides auditing and certification to a recognized set of food safety standards. Many of the food safety standards are based off FDA's Good Manufacturing Practices and HACCP, or the Codex Alimentaris Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point standards. Often larger food manufacturers or food retailers such as grocery stores require all their suppliers to have a third-party certification. This is an additional requirement beyond what is required by the U.S. government. Third-party certification builds on the regulatory requirements, adding additional procedures, processes, and controls to help ensure the food is safe. Although many cannabis retail operations may not require a cannabis safety certification at this time, we see that this is where the industry is headed, similar to what the food and drug industry is doing currently. Types of food safety audits. PJRFSI offers a few different types of food safety and cannabis safety audits. First is our own cannabis safety standard. This can be used for hemp and marijuana cultivation, as well as marijuana or hemp product manufacture, including for both food products, for food products as well as lotions and concentrates. For manufacturing companies that are looking for a step up, there's the GFSI benchmarked audits, which are also available. SQF allows audits in Canada for CBD and marijuana edibles. However, SQF does not allow certification from cannabis companies operating in the U.S. due to it not being federally legal. BRC will allow certification for food products only. This does include CBD products and concentrates as long as they are going into food products and not personal care or smokable products. And FSSC does not recognize cannabis products in their scope at this time. So now I'd like to go over the benefits of certification. There are many benefits of certification. Without the federal regulation and lack of state oversight or in-depth requirements, certification can help to mitigate risks to public health and safety. Certification can allow companies to promote their products with more confidence of their safety and can help to increase consumer confidence. Consumers are even more unfamiliar with cannabis legislation and requirements, and certification can increase consumer confidence and help companies rise above the competition. Finally, it can help reduce recalls, save money, and save lives. PJRFSI can offer a pending letter of certifications for all of our contracted clients. This letter states your schedule and timeline for your certificate. This allows your customers to see you're working with an accredited certification body, and it shows a commitment to cannabis safety to your stakeholders, employees, and potential customers. It can also be used as a marketing tool to show your customers that you are serious about your product safety and quality. So what are the steps to certification? Well, first of all, PJRFSI will provide a free quote. You fill out a short questionnaire, and in turn, we will be able to provide to you the quote for certification. Once you contract with PJRFSI, we can then provide the pending letter. After you review and implement your cannabis safety system, we can then schedule the audit. Typically, the auditor will review 3 months of records. So you would need to be scheduling your audit to have enough records for the auditor to review. Prior to the audit, we can schedule a pre-assessment. This optional audit is prior to the certification audit, and it helps to identify any gaps in your program. We are able to identify those gaps, but we cannot consult or tell you how to fix them. For that, you would need a consultant. Our project managers are able to refer you to a consultant if need be. The next step would be to actually conduct the audit. Your auditor will conduct the audit on site. The auditor will go through all of the requirements of the standard by reviewing records and procedures, interviewing your employees, inspecting the production facility. If the auditor sees any nonconformity, they will document it, and those will need to be corrected to achieve certification. After the audit has finished, you will have 30 days to implement any corrective action for the nonconformities observed. Once this is completed and accepted by your auditor, PJRFSI Executive Committee will review and make the certificate decision. Finally, PJRFSI will issue the certificate, which is valid for 1 year. Now I'm going to take a deeper look into PJRFSI's Cannabis Safety Standard. PJRFSI Cannabis Safety Standard is applicable for cannabis product manufacturers, including hemp, CBD, and marijuana-infused products. It is based off of FDA's 21 CFR Part 117, Subpart B, or Good Manufacturing Practices, GMP, as well as state-specific requirements. The requirements from FDA's 21 CFR Part 117 reference food, food contact surfaces, and food packaging, but this will also include a cannabis product, an edible cannabis product, as well as a topical or concentrate. So how to be audit ready? The first thing you can do is schedule a pre-assessment or the gap analysis prior to your certification audit. Again, this will not only allow you to identify any gaps in your system, but you will be able to have a better understanding of the process of the certification audit. Another way to be audit ready is that to review the standard and implement the requirements. The auditor's checklist is taken directly from the standard and they will be auditing to those requirements. Another way to be audit ready is to train your employees. Implementing cannabis safety is everyone's responsibility, from top management to production line employees. Training is essential. Specific food safety and cannabis safety training is needed, especially for those employees that come into contact with the product. Although an internal audit is not a requirement of the PJRFSI Cannabis Safety Standard, conducting an audit on yourself to the standard will also help to identify any deficiencies before the auditors on site. Finally, if any deficiencies are identified, corrective actions should be implemented so that problems do not reoccur. Part 1 of the standard is broken up into 8 sections. These include the good manufacturing practices under personnel, plant and grounds, sanitary operations, sanitary facilities and controls, equipment and utensils, processes and controls, warehousing and distribution, and defect action level. Part 2 varies by state, and you will need to reference the state requirements. The first section of the standard covers GMPs for personnel, plants and grounds, and sanitary operations. GMP for personnel includes disease control and cleanliness. Persons with illnesses, sores, or wounds may not come in contact with food contact surfaces, or food packaging by exclusion from the product, or by covering the infected area, or both. Personnel must also report each situation to a supervisor. Hygienic practices must also be implemented by all persons working in direct contact with food, food contact surfaces, or food packaging material. The facility where the product is produced is included in Section 2, Plants and Grounds. The grounds must be kept in a condition that prevents the contamination of food. This includes removing weeds, grass, or equipment within the vicinity so that pests cannot hide or nest. It includes review of potential risks like standing water or weight treatment operations that may be adjacent to the facility. Sanitary operations include the building's general maintenance. The facility must be maintained in a clean and sanitary condition. This includes cleaning and sanitizing of utensils and equipment. Cleaning chemicals and sanitizing agents must be stored securely away from where product is exposed or processed. Pest control must not be allowed in any area of the facility, and effective measures must be taken to exclude pests. Pesticides may be used, but only when controlled so that they do not contaminate the food contact surfaces, or food packaging material. Now let's take a closer look at the requirements for maintaining cleanliness. Maintaining cleanliness includes requirements for wearing outer garments suitable to the operation. This would include aprons and uniforms if necessary. Appropriate hand washing before starting work, absence from the workstation, or any other time hands become soiled or contaminated is also a requirement. The facility must implement a jewelry policy. This includes removing all unsecured jewelry or having it covered. Typically, this means only plain wedding bands are permitted without any stones. The operation should have a glove policy if they are used in food handling areas, including maintenance of intact, clean, and sanitary conditions for the gloves. The policy might include when gloves need to be changed and disposed of before work, when torn, when contaminated, absence of a workstation. Does the operation have a requirement to have hairnets, headbands, hats, or beard covers? And if so, how are they maintained? Finally, requirements for personal belongings and clothing to be stored away from exposed food or equipment. Sections 4, 5, and 6 cover sanitary facilities and controls, equipment and utensils, and processes and controls. Sanitary facilities cover water supply requirements, plumbing, sewage disposal, toilet facilities, washing facilities, and rubbish disposal. Equipment and utensils section goes into detail that all plant equipment and utensils must be designed and of such material that it can be adequately cleaned and maintained against allergen cross-contact and contamination. Processes and controls requirements include quality control procedures so that food is suitable for human consumption, and adequate precautions are taken so that the allergen cross-contact or product contamination does not occur. Finally, Section 6.3 outlines the manufacturing operations. Let's take a look at the standard. Under Section 5, Equipment and Utensils, the requirements that all equipment and utensils used in manufacturing, processing, packing need to avoid adulteration with lubricants, fuel, metal fragments, contaminant water, or other contaminants. Consideration must be given to how the equipment is installed in the facility. Can it be moved and taken apart for adequate cleaning? Or is there enough space around the equipment for proper cleaning of both the equipment and the space? All food contact surfaces must be corrosion resistant and made of non-toxic materials. The surface must not degrade when contacted with the product or cleaning chemicals or sanitizers. Finally, food contact surfaces must be maintained to protect food from allergens or any other source. Section 7 includes the warehouse and distribution requirements, while Section 8 details defect action levels. Defect action level states that operations must utilize quality control operations that reduce natural or unavoidable product defects to the lowest level feasible. This also includes adulterated food. Adulterated food is food that is generally impure, unsafe, or unwholesome. Referring to the standard Section 7 for warehousing and distribution, must protect against allergen cross-contamination and biological, chemical, and physical contamination. Consideration should be given to the warehousing area. How are finished products and raw materials stored? What other materials are in the warehouse? What is the layout of the facility and the process flow? Could contamination occur from other products or persons? Is temperature control required, and how is it monitored? These are all aspects of warehousing that must be considered. Finally, we reference the current state requirements in Section 2. This will vary by state and scope. The specific rules are not outlined in the standard, but are instead listed in the auditor's checklist. All cannabis safety clients will receive a copy of the auditor's checklist in their welcome letter prior to the audit. Otherwise, they should refer to their specific state requirements. Currently, we're offering PJRFSI Cannabis Safety Standard as a free download on our website. You can access it on the following link or by going to the Cannabis Safety Standard on our website. PJRFSI will be hosting 2 additional webinars in this series. Our next webinar on Cannabis Safety Standard for Growers and Good Agricultural Practices will be on January 10th, 2020 at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our final webinar will be on Cannabis Safety Standard for Retail, which the date is still to be determined. For further questions on webinars, please contact customer service at pjrfsi.com. I'd like to thank everyone for their time today. I will leave the webinar open for a few minutes if you have any additional questions that you can type into the question box. Otherwise, feel free to contact me by email or by phone. Thank you again and have a great afternoon. I'm not seeing any questions today, so I think I'll go ahead and end the webinar. But again, like I said, if you do think of something later, please feel free to contact me anytime. Thank you again, and have a great day.